Hey YouTube lovers and friends, yesterday on 19th January 2023, I published this video right here where I was showing my lovely audience the easiest way to learn how to play the Ruy Lopez with only traps. And so I covered 3 dangerous traps that most YouTubers out there don't tell you about. I did my research and I'm not really sure why they don't, or maybe I just didn't do enough of my research, but no hard feelings. If you didn't watch that video, you guys, I swear you are missing out something. You need to watch that video. The link is in the card above and I think it has just popped up. Now wait a second. Before you think of skipping this video and miss yet another beautiful video, let me show you something. Today's video is simply a response to this comment that was posted by Mike Keenan, I think. Shout out to you, Mike. It is because of wonderful people like you that I keep on working harder. So Mike here said it would be nice to see a version of this video for those facing the Ruy Lopez as black. And I even responded here. So this is what this video is all about. Another wonderful comment that I came across is one from Felipe Joseph, I think. And it was like, I was struggling with the Ruy Lopez until now as my opponents had great countermeasures against my moves. After watching only 3 minutes of this video, I've been able to master this opening better. Thanks a lot. Great video. You guys, if at all you didn't watch this video, I can promise you that you are missing out something, you guys. So I'll leave the link to this video in the description down below or in the card above. You'll be able to find it. And most importantly, feel free to join my free masterclass today and receive one free course that I created on the rat defense. So let us begin our study on how to play against the Ruy Lopez properly. And as always, I believe that the easiest way to learn any new opening is by starting with some opening traps that are found in that particular opening. So we expect white to start with e4 and then we play e5. Knight f3, knight c6. And then instead of bishop c4, the Italian game, we see them playing bishop b5. And this is called the Ruy Lopez. Arguably the greatest opening for white. Since it's played by champions and super GMs mostly. So here the move that I like with all my heart is knight to f6. Yes, pawn to s6 is the main move here, which is what most people play. But knight to f6, the Berlin defense, is more of a modern defense. What super grandmasters like nowadays. Now let me show you the inspiration behind knight to f6. First of all, don't worry about bishop takes c6. Taking the knight is not really the idea here. You won't see advanced players playing that because even if you take back, knight takes e5 is a positional mistake, even though still playable, because you have queen d4 here attacking the knight, and on the next move you're going to win the e4 pawn. So that's why you won't see white taking on c6 with the idea of taking on e5. It doesn't work. Therefore, the move that you're going to see them playing most of the times is castle short. Sometimes they even play pawn to d3. We are going to look at that later on. So you're going to see them castling short here. Now, wait a second. Knight takes e4 is the main move here, which is very much playable, but I want you to shift your opponent's eyeballs to this side of the board and play knight g4, provoking the move pawn to h3, which is the top played move, by the way, and only then do you play pawn to h5. By the way, knight g4 also aims at defending the e5 pawn somehow, but that's not the idea. So just leave your knight here. That's the whole idea of the knight version of the fishing pole. We just want to put our knight here and start playing chess. That's all. White doesn't have to take because he will throw away his advantage after h takes g4. Now we are attacking his knight. And let's say if he plays knight e1, well, this is the mating for that you already know. But I'm going to cover more lines that you rarely see. So wait a second. You just go queen h4 here and checkmate is unavoidable. They may play pawn to a4, intending to escape their king, but g3 seals the deal. All they have to do is to donate their lady, queen h5, after which we take, and on the next move we mate on h1. So that's what you guys know, but let's just go back a little bit. What if white does not take the knight on g4 with his h-pawn, but instead plays something like pawn to d4, which is the top played move according to the Lichess database. people don't listen. Anyways, here I recommend you just kiss this pawn. I mean KISS. Keep it so simple. You take this pawn anyways, and here we are simply a pawn up. That's it. Which is why knight takes d4 is the top played move again in the Lichess database. And see how we are still playing our opening stage while our knight is still under attack, because we still have this mating idea on h1. So forget about that. Here just go knight takes d4, attacking the light squared bishop, and you will see white taking your knight. That's the top played move, by the way. Now this queen is indirectly eyeballing the g7 pawn. So what do I recommend here? You simply give up this pawn, okay? Just play bishop d6. Now, once again, h takes g4 doesn't work due to the same mating idea that I just showed you. But with this bishop d6, your opponent is going to laugh at you, saying, what are you doing? I mean, bishop h2 won't be checkmate. So they will gladly take on g7, which is the top played move again. Now, this is when you play bishop h2, forcing white to enter into the line of our rook pin first, and only then do you retreat your dark squared bishop back to e5, attacking the queen. And note that they can't play bishop g5 here, attacking your queen, because they will end up losing their free bishop after we take the queen, and they take, I mean, they're just going to lose their free bishop. Still, we have these nasty ideas, the discoveries. I mean, if queen g5, which is what they play, now you simply trade your queens and take on b2. There is no way they can stop us from capturing this rook on a1. They'll play knight d2 here. Now wait a second. Even though you can take on a1, I recommend you make use of an in-between move, knight takes f2. Always look for in-between moves when you have so many options to take in a position, okay? The idea is that if they take on f2, now that's when you're going to take the free rook and maintain your bishop pair. But if they play king g1, now instead of taking on a1 once again, you play an in-between move. Once again, there's no memorization here. I'm just teaching you some basic principles. You take on h3 with check first. That comes with tempo, so that if they take, now that's when you can take the rook on a1. Alright, let's go back. So back to this position where we shift our opponent's eyeballs to this side of the board and also double defending our e5 pawn. Then they play h3. Well, we just leave our knight there with h5. They'll probably not take but play d4, which is the top played move. And again, what do? You take the pawn, let them take with their knight, take the knight, and queen takes d4 is what you will see. After which you play bishop d6, completely giving up your g7 pawn. Now, your advanced opponents here may be clever enough not to take this pawn because of the continuation that I just showed you in the previous line. So you will see them playing pawn to e5 here. Now, just because you are playing an aggressive opening or an aggressive defense, it doesn't mean that you just need to continue sacrificing your pieces. Two of your minor pieces here are under attack, so don't take with the bishop, better take with the knight. It makes more sense. Rook e1 is what they'll play because they are used to these kinds of moves where they are pinning their opponent's pieces. Well, here I recommend you just go queen e7. With queen e7, you also have some possibilities of playing bishop c5 in the near future, pinning white's queen to his king. So white should be very careful. Let's say if they play pawn to f4 here, well, even though bishop c5 looks attractive here, but even better is to go knight f3 check, because that opens up many lines to win this rook. For example, king f2, queen takes e1 check, and then we win the other dark squared bishop. Next, we are planning to capture on b2 or on f4. Alright, so let's go back to d4. After white plays pawn to d4 instead of them taking on g4. Here I said just take back, and after they take, you take, they take, and you just go bishop d6. So we just finished looking at what happens after queen takes g7 and pawn to e5. But what if white plays an immediate pawn to f4? Well, here you just go pawn to b6. I know queen e7 looks attractive, but b6 comes with some good ideas. First of all, bishop c5, pinning this queen to the king on g1. That's the first thing. The second plan is to fianchetto our light squared bishop on b7 and later on castle long after developing our queen so that we can begin attacking from this side of the board since white has already castled short. One disadvantage of castling early, by the way. I have another video which talks about why you should avoid castling early. Anyways, they may still play queen takes g7 here, but you simply go bishop c5 check, an in-between move first. And after they play king h1, well, you go queen f6. I mean, there was nothing else you could have done here. Your rook was under attack, your knight was under attack. So queen f6 is simply a good trade because you are still ahead in development. Not to mention that you are just down a pawn here. I mean, it's just a pawn, but with some great attacking opportunities unlike white. Let me show you. Right now, we are attacking this pawn right here. So if pawn to e5, they will allow us to put our knight on this juicy square, the e4 square, and maybe some opportunities to plant it on g3. So they have to play knight c3, defending their pawn. And after that, we simply fianchetto our light squared bishop, putting more pressure on this e4 pawn. And next, we are planning to castle long and shift all our pieces on this side of the board. I mean, this will be a great game for us. Look, if pawn to e5 here, we simply go rook g8. Because if they take, we don't even take on g2 with our bishop. Even though we can, we just go rook takes g2. Because we have many possibilities of some great discoveries here. For example, if white foolishly plays rook e1, an in-between move, a check, well, we just block that with rook e2, blocking the check first, and at the same time a discovery on the king, and this will be checkmate in 3, which is a sad way to lose chess, by the way. So instead of rook e1 check, you might see your opponent playing bishop a6 here, which is an engine move, by the way. The idea is that if you take their bishop, they will take your rook with their king, so you just go bishop c6. And if they go bishop b5, maybe trying to force a draw, what do? I don't know. Because what are we doing? I mean, I've been waiting for you to hit that like button if at all you are enjoying this video. And I guess you are, but you are not doing that. Come on, you guys. There's a way we can support each other and help this channel to grow. Do that during this break. And if at all you haven't subscribed to my channel already, consider doing that also during this short break, because that's how you encourage me to keep on making these wonderful videos just for you guys. So let's make this community big, you guys, and I hope you will do that in no time from now. Let's go. Okay, after bishop b5 by white, maybe they are trying to force a draw. Here I recommend you just go rook f2 check. Well, it's a discovery check by our light squared bishop. So if they take our bishop, we'll take their rook with check, and after king g2, we'll play an in-between move, rook g1 check, supported by our dark squared bishop, and only then take their light squared bishop, which will be sitting on c6. But if they play king g1 here, we can start chopping off all the pieces and pawns. This is open check, by the way. Rook f2 is the only sensible move. And now we play bishop takes b5. And after knight takes b5, well, we just castle long. Knight takes a7 check. We follow that knight, and after knight b5, we go rook takes f2. I mean, look at this position. We are already winning. So this is just one way you can deal with the Ruy Lopez, by making use of the knight version trap of the fishing pole. Now let me show you the bishop version of this trap in order to satisfy your eyeballs. Alright, once again, white plays pawn to e4. We go e5, knight f3, knight c6. I mean, bishop b5, the Ruy Lopez. Now this time, instead of playing knight to f6, the Berlin defense, well, I recommend you go pawn to a6. Also playable, by the way. Now wait a second. Bishop a4 here is the main line and the top played move. But bishop takes c6 should not be underrated. This is called the exchange variation of the Ruy Lopez. Once again, the idea is not to take on e5. That's not what white wants to do, nope. After you take back with your d pawn, their plan is simply to castle short. E.g., if they take on e5, we still have queen d4 here, and we are assured of winning a pawn in this position. So you won't see them doing that. They normally castle short. After which we simply go bishop g4. Now I want you to picture this position. So whenever you see that white has castled short early, go bishop g4. This is okay. If they play pawn to h3, now it is time to play h5 once again. This is the bishop's version of the fishing pole in the Ruy Lopez. The idea is that if they take, well, we just simply take on g4 with our h-pawn attacking the knight. And if knight takes the other pawn, well, checkmate now becomes unavoidable. There is nothing that white can do to stop us from mating on h1. So just like in the previous trap where we sacrificed our knight, this time we can even do this with our light squared bishop. Let's go back. Alright, so back to this position after white castle shot, and then we realize that it is time to play bishop g4, pinning this knight to the queen. Then white plays h3, again h5. You won't see them taking on g4. White is not dumb. They'll play pawn to d3 here, which is the top played move by the way, in both the Lichess database and the Masters database. So here I recommend you just go queen f6, not knight f6. So let me tell you something, knight to f6 hangs our bishop for sure, because this time we don't have that fishing pole trap, okay? So you play queen f6. Queen f6 is what I call an improved prophylactic move. The idea is that you are giving white one more chance to blunder with h takes g4 so that you take back with your h-pawn. So I'm sure white is not dumb. They're not going to do that. They're going to play knight bd2, you go pawn to g5, you immediately start your pawn storm. By the way, we still have our fishing pawn trap, which can happen in a different way, e.g. after h takes g4 we take back, and after they play something like knight h2, now we can put our queen on h6, threatening to take the knight on h2 or simply mate on h1. I mean, again after pawn to f3 or pawn to f4 we simply go pawn to g3. Alright, thank you for watching my video and hope to see you in my next video.